Let's add an atmospheric haze to our environment. Haze is a powerful tool that we can use it to tame the dynamic range, to soften up the contrast, to make the light beams visible alongside other things. I click on overlays and turn all my overlays. I move my 3D cursor at the center of my ground. Select that and press Shift S and cursor to select it. Now I press Shift A and add a cube. So let's press 1 and I scale it from the orthographic mode. So S and I scale it. Maybe let us set it to 15 and 0.5 so that we can scale it and it covers all our angle of camera so that we shoot. And then I select that by pressing tab, go to edit mode, and I select all of these vertices and move those upward. Because here is a place that our ground will start. So there is no need to see the volume under the ground. So let's take a look again. And it seems to be okay. Now I want to change it to shader editor. Now I select my cube and I press F2. So let's rename that to Haze. And if I just press 0 and we go to wireframe mode, you see that I selected my cube, which I will use the volume material to that and assign or apply the volume material to that. So let's press 0 and be in render mode again. So now by selecting that, I click on new and I want to delete this principal BSDF. So let's rename that quickly to something like call Haze and press Shift A. And I'm going to search after principal volume and put it here. Connect the volume to volume, not to surface. And so let's play around with the density. I'm going to set the density really low for now, even lower than that. So let's try 1, which is not bad. So I want to zoom a little bit so that I can see clearly what's going on my castle. I want to set my accent light or my sunlight to a higher strength, maybe 50, so that when later I will play around with the special anisotropy, we will see more effects out of that. So I think the density is good. So let's play around with the anisotropy. The anisotropy value controls the scattering of the volume material. We will have a look at a few examples later on. But now let us crank up the density all the way to 0.04 to make anisotropy effects visible. After some experience playing with anisotropy, I come to this conclusion, which I'm not sure how precise is this explanation of anisotropy and what is actually going on. But I feel that the higher negative anisotropy values kind of push the scattering of the volume shader towards the light source. And at the positive values, it kind of moves it away from the light source. But I think the best way to know it is that play with it yourself. So I'm holding down Control and move it around 0.6. And you start to see, even I want to play around with the density, or maybe we set it to around 0.02. And let's set it to a negative value. So when we set it to a negative value, we actually see in those places which we see the most of our light source, more anisotropy effects. And when it's 0, it actually totally uniform scattering, almost everywhere. And when I set it to 1, or let us just set it to 8, we don't see too much of anisotropy around our light source. So let's set it to negative. And we see actually the anisotropy all the way around our light sources. So let's set it to 0.2, something like that, because I want to have the volume material or principal volume a little bit on my castle, which affecting. And if you like, you can play around with the color as well. And you, set it to whatever color you like. And even play around with this, slide. But I want to keep it as we had before in the hex. So I think even we can set it to even lower number, maybe 0.01, which is okay. So it was about how to add haze to our environment.